But the one thing that my mom made me always like be hardcore about was, yes, you have the talent and yes, you have the ability, but always be the one working the hardest in the room. Don't let that let you down, because a lot of people have died just because they try to rely on their talent only. And unfortunately, in life, we all have a certain level of talent, but we don't all have the same amount of work ethic.
DJ Spoo Live presents. Welcome to DJ Spoo Live, all brothers and sisters. Thank you very much for tuning in. Don't go straight to that subscription button. Guys, you have to subscribe because we have to grow the family. And then I want you guys to go click on all the links that are at the description. I want you to follow my podcast. My other podcast is called The Hustler's Corner. We want you to be a family over there. We want you to be a family here. Click the subscription button. We want you to be a family on our other podcast called Virtual Mkuku. Click then, go there. For all of those of you guys that are looking for the More Fire merchandise or More Fire stock, there is also a link there that takes you straight to the More Fire shop. Sibonga And I think the most important thing, the last link that you'll see there for potential investors, people who are interested in buying land, people who are invested in buying building packages or property or getting into the property space. I've been working with an amazing real estate company called Ekasi Noble Property Development. There's a link over there. It takes you to their platform. You can give them a call. You can check out their website, check out some of the work that they're doing, the developments that they have, developments in Randfontein, developments in Bears Nodier, developments all around Gauteng, and helping people own property, helping people invest in real estate. I always say to people, you can't win today's game based off of yesterday's goals. I can't keep on coming here and tell you guys about how great I was back in the day, what I did yesterday. Yes, you won the league yesterday, but the goals that you scored yesterday are not making you win today. Today is a new day. Today is a new game. Today you have to score new goals. And there's people who are scoring new goals every day, and that's one of the young person that I'm hanging out with here today. And I'm quite excited. Let me give you his resume. I won't read all of it because it's too long, guys. But it says that he's a South African producer, musical director. He gets high praise at he got high praise at the BET Awards just about a year ago. And he's also, let me just put it this way. His contribution to Lil Nas's BET Awards performance for the track Montero, Call Me By Your Name, which stole the show and was ranked the #1 performance on the night by Billboard. He's contributed in the musical arrangement for Lil Nas X's performance, and he was personally approached by Nas's team, Nas the rapper, the legend, right, to work on this milestone performance after they discovered a Nas cover that he did in January, which Nas heard it and he was highly impressed by. And they've been communicating since. He says, I'm extremely chuffed about the recognition. Let me just not read. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth. But then just to give you a bit of a background, a little bit more, guys, is his talents haven't gone unnoticed. He's got production credits on some of South Africa's highly acclaimed albums, such as Prince KB's The Fourth Republic, Sjava's Umkhele and Umsebenzi, Tresor's Nostalgia, JR's Love Me Now, AKA's Bovamania, Munewa's ZP Inkomo, and Langamavuso's Langa, just to highlight a few. Guys, make sure that you connect with him online. Follow him on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. The name is Zadok with a K, Z-A at the end. Z-A meaning South Africa. So, at Zadok, Z-A. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. The king is here. So what was you put? You putting in work.
Hey man, we have to. We got to.
You're grinding.
There's no other choice. We don't have any other life. We got one life.
Let me give some props to the guys that are doing incredible work with local brands in South Africa. This one is called Azishanism. Handmade, hand-stitched, leather, sweat, dope quality, Azishanism culture. They are situated at Maboneng. Follow them on social media. Azishanism, big up to you guys. And I've got this one, Rural Zulu Funk. How dope is this, man? Check this out. Check this out,
man,
guys.
You need to hook me up, man.
Joe, local is on another level.
This one is say something, man. This one.
Zadok, I rock local every day. I drink local every day.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
the I don't know if I'm the only one that's feeling this vibe that's just happening. It's like people are doing for themselves.
There is something about it, and it's been a culture shift, like over the past decades, actually, in SA and internationally, where it's like you've been taking power into your own hands as the personal consumer, which is why the internet is blowing up so much, which is why, like what I did with the little Nas thing of covers, doing it at home and all those kind of things. You're not waiting for no studio. You're not waiting for anything else. You just doing things because you want to take the power back into your hands. And that is like the conversation we had before this about like politics and things like that. That's what's happening in society and around the world right now. People want to feel the power in their own hands.
the power has been decentralized.
Yes.
So when you look at crypto,
Yeah.
money has been decentralized, right? It's a finance system that has been decentralized, right?
Yeah.
When you look at also broadcasting, I come from the mainstream media and I was fired out of it. But I'm existing on the internet now. Why? Because technology has allowed broadcasting to also be decentralized. And I'm seeing a lot of people are learning a lot of things because he who pays the bills controls the narrative, or he who keeps the lights on controls everything. So mainstream media platforms are owned by big players, and big players, they cannot allow editors to broadcast certain information. That's why people are always fed agendas and different narratives, and we ended up becoming linear in our thinking because we've just been fed this brainwashing information that keeps on making the big boys, the elite, happy. Since the internet has been alive, people have just broken into starting their own podcast, starting their own social media platforms. People izangoma online. People are sharing about our own African culture. People are learning a lot of things.
That's true. But I think the one crazy thing that has even happened with the advent of the internet blowing up like this, is that now we've been exposed to the fact that we as humans love the concept of narratives. We love to be driven by a narrative. We want to believe a certain thing, and once you believe that, you start living in this echo chamber where that reality is whatever you live in. Only, for example, how the left is, or how liberal people are in liberal media, or the right, whatever it is, whatever you choose to believe in. The internet is so vast that you can actually live in that space and not be exposed to other information. You can just believe that and just think that's the only existence in life, and that you're right, or you're the only person that's right.
And I totally agree. And let me take you a couple of years back. And I'm going to take my time because I just want to hear your story here. I won't do much talking. I just want to hear you tell me your story in your own words. Like, let's start from the beginning. Where were you from?
So, it's a very weird story. So, I'm originally born and raised in Durban, right? But my folks, they're from the Northwest Province. So, I'm a Tswana boy, born and raised in KZN. And yeah, that's where my story begins. Started playing instruments around the age of 4 or 5, publicly, that is, and then just took it from that point onwards. I've always had an attention to detail, and just been able to like just pick up things that are around me. So that's how I grew into where I am right now as a creative. Then long story short, I finished school.
No, don't make it short. Tell it in detail. Share, bro. We're not in a hurry.
All right, cool. So, I did what I needed to do. I had a couple of experiences growing up with music. I traveled around the country with my dad, who was a pastor. And
so you're PK?
Yes, sir.
Pastor's kid.
We're the best out here. You already know.
Sure.
The best musicians. Like, I got the privilege of meeting, like, Jay-Z's team when they were around. Like, the majority of his team, the majority of, like, a lot of artist teams are, like, church kids, because it fosters that space for creativity in terms of the art space. But back to my story. Born and raised in Durban, finished school, left, did varsity, and dropped out.
Did varsity where?
Stellenbosch for a year, and then Bloemfontein for a while, and dropped out immediately. Because I was just like, ultimately my attention span was not there. I wasn't in there. I knew, it took me a minute to kind of figure out what I needed to do, but as soon as I had that conviction of, okay, this is what I'm going to do with my life and my career or whatever it is, then I went for it. And then 2016, I decided to take my career seriously, register my business, and then go for it. And then since then, I've just been working professionally in the industry in terms of production, session work as a musician.
Lovely. And what are some of the things that you do as a musician?
So as a musician, I mean, let's take it to brass tacks. I play drums, I play keys, I play guitar, I play bass. I'm now venturing into my own music as an artist because I sing as well. That was always a thing, and it was always the point of this journey as a creative, was always to tell my story as an artist. But I always felt like in terms of being an artist, you have to come out with your own narrative. So that's why it took me so long to come out of that process. Fortunately for me, during that process of self-development, I got to work with a lot of people. I got to work on a lot of projects. Again, somehow in part due to the internet, and also in part due to the people that I met when I moved to Joburg and started working with. Somebody who played a huge part in my career, actually 2 people that I can really shout out, is JR Bukhopa.
Shout out to Mr. JR. Shout out to JR. We came up together. That's my point. Proud of you, brother, with everything you've achieved. And shout outs to what you're doing with your YouTube channel, with the live music.
Yeah.
Proud of you, bro. And I'm looking forward to having you right here and on the Hustlers Corner.
Boom.
We haven't caught up in quite some time. I miss you, bro.
Boom. And that's how I got my entrance into the industry, really, was via Feel Good Life. That he did the first season. There was a situation where, like, some stuff didn't work out with the team. So they needed people to play urgently, right? So I pull up, no rehearsal, no nothing. We just rock. And then after that, it was just like, okay, cool. You real recognize real. Like, let's rock. And then from that experience, I became his music director. I became his director for the show itself for the next 2 seasons. Third season we just wrapped. And that's kind of like how I started getting introduced into, like, okay, this is Zadok, this is who he is, and people started knowing. Word of mouth was probably one of the biggest reasons why I started working as much as I have in the industry, you know. Another person who kind of really did put me on in certain spaces, Ricky. May so rest in peace.
Hey, Ricky, man.
Yeah, shout out to him. One of the brand deals that I have now with Roland Instruments, peace and love. Yeah. Was because of, like, what I was doing with him initially, and then that kind of like triggered the whole situation. So yeah, I'm doing that now. So I've been a musician and a producer for like the past 6-7 years professionally. Recreationally, I mean, I've been playing since I was 5. So now it's natural to me. You know, I don't think about it. I think for me now, and this is what you were talking when you were mentioning upscaling, and this is where I'm now trying to position myself as now, okay, finding the actual ways of correctly applying musicality in live scenarios, right? Because now what happens is there's a need for musicians, there's a need for this, that, and the third in terms of the creative space. How do you correctly service that? So that's been my current business proposition in terms of, like, how I work in the industry. Yeah.
And I want to know, what type of sound do you make? Do you have a specific sound, or you just a musician that does whatever you're inspired by, whatever you're inspired to create?
So, like I mentioned, in terms of my personality, this is a very broad answer, but in terms of my personality, the way I am and the way I take in information, right, is I always see what's going on around me and I'm saying, okay, how do I make that me, right? So that's generally what you will hear in my music. I've taken what's going on in popular culture, added my flavor. There's certain obviously musical things that you'll hear about me in my music if you listen to my songs. But then ultimately there's always that, okay, what's going on? I make it mine, right? And I always do that thing. And the biggest and the greatest inspiration in terms of doing something like that well is Michael Jackson, that is. Because he was like, okay, I think the funk era was happening. James Brown was going. That was all happening. He took certain elements. I don't know if he was the genius around that, because there was also Quincy Jones around that time. But basically, what he did as an artist was he took what was going around and made it consumable to the general consumer. You know, and I think that's generally what I do. I don't want to call it pop music, and I don't want to say I'm poppy, but I am very relatable in what I do. I intend to be relatable because I feel like ultimately there's always a point of connection for all of us at some level, you know, which is why my new project series is called Perspective, because I had dealt with some things in my personal life where I was like, okay, the only thing that made us butt heads in this situation was a difference of perspective, not a difference of reality, right? So that is where my sound comes from. It's just like being able to be relatable and without diluting yourself. Yeah.
And I believe sounds influence other sounds.
Yes, exactly.
If I look at what's happening now, for instance, let's say the piano sound,
yes,
I can believe that it was somehow influenced by the Kwaito sound.
Absolutely.
And I also can believe that Afropop was influenced by Kwaito.
Yes.
And I can believe that Kwaito was influenced by disco, what our parents used to call bubblegum music. And
which is my favorite version of piano right now, which is very strong on the disco. It's that that's happening right now. That happened like with Jola and those kind of songs, Vulamlomo. It's my favorite version of piano right now, along with Gicha. But yes, you're very right about us taking from what's happening, and that's why I personally believe it's probably the and I'm gonna be maybe slightly controversial, but I feel like it's the best thing to have ever come out of SA because it's so us. It's so representative of what has made SA culture over the past 20, 30, 40 years, which is those deep house drum patterns, which is like you're saying, the kwaito bass notes, the log drums that were hinted at in kwaito music but not used the way it's used now in that the rap schemes that came with the SA hip hop era, which I wanna really shout out because people don't want to acknowledge the fact that our hip hop was unique to us. When SA hip hop was huge, it was ours. It wasn't us trying to be American ever at any point in time. But yes, I think that's why I have a huge affinity for piano. Is that it's so us. The vocals, the vocals, the girls singing in piano are so reminiscent of what Boosie would do in that era, that early 2000s era. It's very us, and man, I'm excited about it. I don't want to lie.
I've really been blessed to have been a part of the Kwaito era. I wouldn't say towards its end because I cannot believe music evolves. We might be calling it piano today, but somebody else might be saying it's Kwaito, it's gone international. And that's what I love about piano, the fact that it's representing us globally. But I've had a chance to work with Zahara, who does a different type of sound. I've had a chance to work with Umtando. I've worked with Oskido. I've worked with Mandla Spikiri. I've worked with the Brown Dashes of this world. I've worked with Cleo. I've made house music hits. I've been really blessed to have worked in these different types of sounds and different types of people before I started wanting to go and explore and do other things outside of music. But all of these different things and these different experiences that I've had have shaped me into understanding the power that music has, bro. You know, when somebody opens a can of More Fire, or when somebody looks at this podcast, it's all because of music, bro. When somebody says to me...
I'm so sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm just having a moment right now. When you mentioned all of those things, I'm like, shit, this is the shit I grew up on, bro. This is the music. I'm thinking, yo, like that Lingoma, the remix, bro.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking about all of those things. I'm like, yo, me and my friends would bump that thing all the time. I'm just like, shit. It's crazy. I don't know if I can cuss here.
No, you can, bro. We're on the internet.
But yeah, so as you're talking, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, dog, this is wild, dog.
God is great.
I'm having such a surreal moment, man. It's really a privilege. I have a thing about like recognizing the moment that you're in, right? In that moment, and not losing the gravity of what it is. And I think it's also a huge part of why I'm so successful at what I do. It's because when I'm on stage and when I'm rocking, I'm not thinking about anything else except how do I feel in that moment and how do I make the next person feel.
Big up for living in the present.
My brother.
Because in 2022, 2023, a lot of people are not living for the moment. I'm experiencing this moment, but I got my phone out because I'm already thinking about the next moment of me sharing this footage with my friends. Instead of sometimes just being in the moment and enjoying this moment and appreciating the greatness of God that I've been put here. I'm experiencing this. And sometimes we've gotten into an era where we turn to miss that. And there's nothing wrong about being, forward thinking, being about tomorrow, and that's good. But I think from time to time, it's important to just take that pause. I listen to Dame Dash a lot, and there's times where you like pause. You have to pause sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Like what you've just done and be like, Joe, man, like this moment, even me, because I'm looking at you as like, wow, God has blessed me so much that I'm still here and I'm chatting to the stars of today. And I can't imagine what you are going to become. And when we watch this interview 10 years from today, you'll be even a bigger star, probably even globally. And I've had the opportunity to sit down with you and just watch you come up, you know? But it's amazing what music can do. Not only in changing lives, but in shifting culture, in influencing politics, in mobilizing people, in making people forget about their problems and just celebrate, in people go through the struggle. And us black people, we are a people of song, bro. Whether we're struggling, whether we're protesting, whether we're mourning, whether we are celebrating, it's all about the music.
And it comes from what you just mentioned. You mentioned something very important that I want to highlight. It's culture. It's culture. It's like, it's the biggest fruit, so to speak, or sign of what culture is or where the culture is. If you ever want to know where generally culture is, in terms of even us, specifically with black culture at least, it's always been indicated with the music a lot of the time. And you look at us right now, like where we are as a country, it's a shit fest, my brother. Like we're going through it. Like we're seeing shit, right? But internationally, we're one of the hottest things musically right now.
I agree. I agree.
Do you understand? It's like that thing is pushing us, dog.
Coffee's killing it with house.
My brother.
Then piano is killing it this side.
My brother.
And people are experiencing.
Do you understand?
The Afro guys, the house guys, the Shimzas, the Kulo, the songs, the Vankos, and everybody.
It's crazy.
And then you've got the piano sound that's just. South Africans are just all over the world, and I don't even think we are aware of how much we're killing it all over the world now.
It's crazy. Like if you try, a lot of the guys that I know that I try to communicate with, they say, "Let's link up." It's yo, I'm in Germany, yo, I'm in Australia. I'm like, yo, it's hectic right now. The boys are going, but here at home, it's a movie. It's an actual movie, and I feel like that has always been a thing for us in black culture. I hate that it is that, but that's the truest. I guess that's the truest expression of who we are. We sing through it. We always have, and always will.
But I also think that we have to. Sometimes you have to leave the nest.
Yes, absolutely.
I also hear a lot of our South African brothers and sisters who are not as aware as they should be about other African countries, who don't visit other African countries, who are actually not. I remember just a few months ago I was in Zim, and I was posting pictures of me being in BYO CBD, and I've just had some comments of people saying, "Oh wow, Zim is so beautiful." I'm like, but Zim is just next door, yeah. Like, what did you think?
But here's the thing.
Did you think Zim is messed up? It's like,
but look at
sometimes we focus on mainstream media that it brainwashes us to believe it's like a mess in Zimbabwe.
But that's what it tells us. That's what
not as bad as
all the time. Like, look at Americans. What do they think of Africa? And that's what mainstream media has fed them. Now when we watch SABC 1, it's always one rand is equal to how many Zim dollars? Or whatever, and especially during the early 2000s, I'll never forget, there was a huge moment where you would always see how bad it was in Zim. And that imagery, it sits in your subconscious. Like, we have the thought process that Zim, it's tough. And Zim is a beautiful country.
Amazing,
it's
bro.
It's a beautiful country. But, in our heads, it's tough. Whereas, Tina, we also have our tough spots, my brother. It's tough here as well, if you want to be very frank about it. Like,
and then you visit Nigeria, and people have never been to Nigeria. You see, for me, I just want people to leave the nest a bit.
Yeah.
Just go visit our other African countries, visit our brothers and sisters, learn the culture, collaborate with other people. Whatever you're doing, you don't have to be a musician.
Yeah.
But when you come back here at home, it gives you a different perspective of how to appreciate South Africa.
Yeah.
We're such an amazing country.
We're the best, eh? We're the best. I don't want to lie. I know, I don't want to lie to you. We are the best.
Yeah.
I personally, I've been privileged to have traveled. I've been in New York. I've been to London when I'm doing a lot of music stuff out the country. Let me tell you, you come back and you're like, yeah, no, we're rocking as a country.
We are, bro.
We are amazing. Like, which country do you know that has been pumping out musical evolution like this? Which country in the world?
It's Nigeria, bro. They've been
Evolution,
killing it, bro.
They've been riding the Afro. They've been riding the Afrobeat wave for how long?
But let me put it. You mean recently?
Evolution. I'm talking about evolution.
But they've evolved. I mean, if you look at from back in the day, the likes of the fellas of this world who also broke globally.
But that's the sound that they're rocking with right now.
It's evolved.
Okay.
It's evolved.
Okay.
But right now we're on the driving seat.
Yes.
Because a lot of the hits that I'm hearing of piano also are not even coming from South Africa anymore. Yes. There's hits that I'm hearing on TikTok that are produced in Nigeria.
Yes.
But it's piano. Yeah. But then you're like, oh wow, they took it and they're doing it in their own way.
Yeah,
you know?
And locked drum on Afrobeat.
Do you know what I mean, bro?
Yes, I love that.
Now let's talk about your journey, your international journey. You never thought that you'll be an international musician.
Not at all. I believed I would be though. But belief and expectation and reality, it's tough for them to meet because we're humans and we know that when you get disappointed once, you're like, actually, this is reality, right? I'll give us actually, let me not tell that story.
No, tell it, bro. Tell it, bro.
I'm sorry. Hey. Okay, so what had happened was I was 7, 8 years old or something. There was a situation. There was an American group in town. I don't remember the name specifically. One of those popular R&B groups. I was playing drums out. You know the workshop?
Yeah.
I was there. Drums lab. going in, right? This bro comes through with an American accent, say, "Hey man, you're killing it, bro. Listen, I'm doing a show tomorrow at this spot, this 1, 2, 3, and the third. Come through, man. We're gonna do something crazy. Listen, tell them you're with so and so who's playing drums for I don't remember the band, and let them know, and you're gonna come through." I'm so excited, right? I'm like, yeah, let's go in, let's go. It's gonna happen. I tell my parents. Now, in their defense, Christianity, there's a staunchness about keeping your family safe and in that hood. So as soon as they heard that, they were like, hell no, that's not happening. Take you to a worldly group and all those kind of things. And then in that moment, in that experience.
Oh, you're a pastor's kid.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So now it's a secular, you're gonna go to people who are saying about sex.
Yeah.
Come on, my brother. So for me, in that moment, I got a tinge of like disappointment where I was like, okay, I missed that moment, right? And then when you grow, those things, what you realize about your mental state is that those things become trauma, right? Those incidents where you don't get the moment or you don't get to that. So that kind of is what sits in your subconscious in terms of, okay, I want to be the best, but I don't know that I can. Because you've had these experiences. It's why adults are more pessimistic than kids are, right? Because they have seen more. You've seen more shit. That's why you're less willing to dream. You're less willing to take a risk. You're less willing to do 1, 2, 3, and the third. So for me, I always believed that I would be doing the things that I'm doing now. But man, to actually have it happen right now, it's crazy. It's crazy, bro. Like when I got that DM, bro, they say, "Hey, bro, do you want to work on the BETs? Do you want to work on the VMAs?"
Who did that DM come from?
Shout out to Take a Day Trip. They're producers behind Lil Nas. They've done a lot of hits, bro. They've done, I don't know how involved you are in hip hop, but like Mo Bamba by Shaq West.
Yeah.
They did that song. They've done a lot of huge songs. So I know producers because I'm in the producer world as well.
Yeah.
So when they hit me, I was losing my shit. I'm like, damn, bro, do you know who just hit me in the DMs? I'm sure all my friends are like, come on, check this out. And then we started working. And then they sent me the files. We work via correspondence, Dropbox. Now I've been doing this for years now. This is my at that time it was my 5th year working in the industry. So I was like, I know what to do. I know how to handle a performance, how to sequence a show to what needs to happen. So when they send me the thing, I'm like, okay, cool. I'll do what I need to do. I send it back within 24 hours. They're happy. The band that side interprets whatever that was, and then they take it off. And then now I'm hearing my sounds on TV, right? On an American Awards show. That feeling for me was just like, hey, yo. Hey, yo, bro. Hey, yo, we're just coming out of lockdown, bro. Like, we don't have careers in SA right now.
Yeah.
As musicians.
Yeah,
You understand?
yeah.
Boy. I'm just like, nah, the internet, boy. Internet boys, we out here, bro. So that was one of the moments where I was like, damn, it's actually happening. Like, it's actually happening. Another huge one for me was doing One Night with Java. Shout out to the brewer. This has always put me on, bro, in crazy ways, dog. But yeah, we did One Night with Java, ICC Arena in Durban.
Oh, the Durban one.
The Durban one.
Oh yeah, I remember Bongani Sex told me about it. He was there as well.
Yes. Now the crazy thing for me was that's the first place I ever attended a concert ever in my life when I was like 9, 10 or something. That's the first place I ever went to a concert. Kirk Franklin had come to the country, and for me having that surreal moment now, I think over a decade later, where I am now music directing 2 days at that same venue, bro. And I'm like, I was that 11-year-old kid standing on a chair there bro, that moment for me was like, okay, no. It was kind of another reminder that, we're actually doing a real thing here. We're actually moving forward. We're actually pushing the culture forward. I'm actually, rocking.
Bovamania?
Ooh. That man's mind is amazing. I have to appreciate that man. Yo.
Super Mega, we miss you, bro. We miss you.
Don't worry,
bro.
we're coming.
Where's the new music?
Don't
we
worry
miss you,
about
bro.
it. Don't worry about it.
I can't. AKA, are you aware that I've never sat down with you?
Wow.
How many times have I asked you for an interview? I miss you, bro. Come on. Let's make it happen, bro.
Let me tell you something crazy.
Forget about the interview. We're looking for new music. We miss you, bro.
Be calm, dog. Let me tell you
Super
something crazy.
Mega.
Let me tell you something crazy. The new stuff.
Are you serious?
So here's the thing. I am a fan of music. Period. Like, I love music. Like I'm telling you, I have an exact image in my mind of where I heard Lengo. I know exactly where I was when I heard that version of it back in 2011, 2012. That's how music impacts me. Irrespective of how many accolades I may get, I am the same, bro. I work with all of them, yes, but when it impacts me. So when I started working with Keenan, the feeling that his music had given me never stopped. It never went away. Yes, I was still a fan, but now I had to become a professional that works with him, right? And now we ended up developing an even personal relationship, right? But outside of all of that, I was still a fan of the music, and I was just like, yo, yeah, we're making all of this stuff, right? I'm on the records, but the reason I became a fan of you was this specific type of sound. Was this specific type of sound, right?
You can take it. We're in a podcast,
listen,
bro. You can even take a call. We're in a podcast. Yeah, it's a podcast station. South African.
I respect you guys too much, bro.
Okay.
Welcome to my YouTube channel, nigga.
Sure.
But yeah, so when we started working together, it was that thing. Okay, we were being experimental, but the music we were making now is that sound that kind of was part of the reason why I became a huge fan of him. And trust me, you're gonna love it. It's essay. It's us. That's all I can say about it. And the privilege of having been able to produce that record with him, because he's a genius at sampling. So like working with somebody like that, he just hates doing drums and he hates doing the other stuff in the production process. But at sampling, chopping a sample, oh, genius. So yeah, it's been a blessing working with him, and growing in that process. Funny story: the day that I actually started working with him, I didn't know I was going to. I was elsewhere. I was in Tembisa, in fact, doing some other stuff.
Shout outs to 1632, my hood.
Sure. Doing some other stuff that side, and then I got a call that he needed a keyboard player / music director for Joburg Day. On the day of Joburg Day.
For the Joburg Day event.
Joburg Day event. Bear in mind, him and I have never worked together before in that moment. And now, to give you context to that, as being a music director for an artist, you need to understand them. You need to be able to be with them in the performance and understand what needs to happen or where they're going musically. Especially with somebody like that, because he's very musically active. He feels what's happening live jive for him, right? He feels that thing, which means he can change his mind right now in the moment. Yet instead of going to this direction, we're going musically in that direction. You need to be awake for that. So him not having a music director at that moment, I can imagine what he was dealing with. I can only imagine, right? So I was like, okay, cool, let's rock. Pull up. We have a meeting. Pull up to the house, have a meeting. He's like, gents, do you trust this man? Now the team knows me. They're my industry colleagues. Sorry.
Yeah.
So they know me. They're like, no, he can handle. I'm like, okay, bet. We rock Joburg Day, kill it. We rock Tembisa, kill it. Says my boy, you're hired. It's done, finished. That's how I started working with Keenan. And from that day on,
that's why they always say your work speaks for itself.
Literally, bro.
And they say your talents will put you amongst kings and queens.
But the one thing that my mom made me always like be hardcore about was, yes, you have the talent and yes, you have the ability, but always be the one working the hardest in the room. Don't let that let you down, because a lot of people have died just because they try to rely on their talent only. And unfortunately, in life, we all have a certain level of talent, but we don't all have the same amount of work ethic. And we don't all apply ourselves the way we need to. Because I can make up for the lack of talent that I have with work ethic. But the amount of talent you have will never make up for somebody else who has double your work ethic. It'll never do that. So that was, I think, one of my greatest lessons from my mom. And, like, I've taken that and run with that. And it's gotten me here, bro. Like, if I could tell you my schedule for the past 48 hours, it's been a movie. I was in a 7-hour meeting yesterday. Immediately after that, I had to shower, go do another event. And then after that, go back home for a session. Because I had gens there we need to finish a piano record. And then after that, I had to be up for a meeting for the thing I told you about before this. And then come here. And then when I finish, I'm going back to another session. So it's just like, it's that thing where, fuck it, you're going to do it. I'm going to do it because this is the only life that I have. And I'm going to work as hard as possible to be the best version of myself.
That's the story of my life, and I totally agree with you on that one. From class, man, back in school, I was never the smartest kid, but I'd flip and I'd work you. Yeah. I'd flip and I'd work. Sometimes I say my CV and people think I'm lying. Well, people who don't come from South Africa, say I'm overseas. Yeah. Because of the amount of, I believe in bodies of work.
Yes.
You know, albums, companies, projects, I'm like that, you know, and I look back sometimes when maybe they're introducing me on stage and they're giving my resume, I'm like, yo, I did all of that. But sometimes you're not aware, you're just going,
yes.
you're just going.
When you mentioned all those projects, I was like, oh, yeah. Damn, I did do that.
bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I always say to people, don't look at the high school, just put in the work.
Yeah.
The work will open the doors for you. And make sure as you're doing the work, it's excellence, bro.
Yes,
Once it's excellence, it'll open bigger doors that you have never ever dreamed or thought of. And you understand that feeling because you're already doing international projects.
Very much so. And in turn, having those relationships internationally keeps your mind open in terms of where you can go and where you can grow. And the more you grow, the more your ceiling gets like higher. And on top of that, you realize how little you previously knew. And for me, that's been like the biggest learning curve for me. It's just been like, yo, yes, I had a lot of information going in, but the more you learn, the more you realize, hey, bro, you need to keep growing. You need to keep going because there's some kids waiting for your spot, bro. There's some kids ready who are looking exactly what you're doing. They're going to try copy that and take it to the next level. So you got to move on beyond that. What you said about the high school thing, that one hit home because that's the reality right now. And that's why a lot of niggas in SA suffer because we get comfortable. You feel like, yo, once I've been doing hits for like 2 years, I can never get off this mountaintop. And that's exactly when you do. Because
Yo, you've just spoken the most truest truth.
That's exactly when you do because you feel like, yo,
I've arrived.
I've arrived.
Guys, nobody arrives.
You never arrive.
Nobody arrives,
You
bro.
never
I haven't
arrive.
even arrived. I haven't even started.
You never do, bro.
Nobody arrives,
you can't.
bro.
You can't. And that has been the unfortunate curse for a lot of our artists. And I'm praying, bro, that it doesn't happen with these ones. You see this piano level right now? It's my biggest worry.
Left.
It's the level.
Another left.
You understand? It's the level, bro. We're moving in that one.
Sure.
So I'm just saying, yo, I hope that we don't fuck it up, bro, because we have an opportunity to be building global South African brands based off of artistry, because that's your initial sales points, right? Obviously, then you're able to get into certain rooms and have certain conversations about, okay, investing in a different type of business or maybe potentially flipping that business or doing whatever you need to do. But the bottom line is now that we have these opportunities as to become global brands.
We already are.
In fact, we already are. So, yeah, man, I hope we don't miss it. I hope we don't fuck it up. I'm trying not to myself as well, but it ain't easy, but it's worth it.
I like what you're saying. I always say to people, let the main thing be the main thing.
Yes.
Coffee might be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Coffee might be invested in restaurants
Yes.
and Galo music and different businesses and
Yes.
startups. He might be the successful business entrepreneur, Black Coffee, but we know what his main thing is. Same thing as Trevor. You know what I mean? Like, let the main thing
Yes.
and be so good at the main thing
Can't deny
that it opens doors that they can't deny. They don't have to like you, but they gotta respect it.
Exactly. For me, that was the Jay-Z mindset. That was where he is like, okay, cool. My proposition is I presented quality music, and then I need to bring quality brands to associate with me because I'm a quality artist. And you build that, you start flipping. I like when you read up on the deals that man has done. It's incredible, but for me that's that way, that mindset. That's my inspiration in terms of that mindset of it's not just music. It's business. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, it's always business. Everything is business. You just need to look at it the right way. Hence my project title, Perspective. We are self-black.
I'm looking forward. Now let's talk about the checks overseas. As much as we're global now because of the internet and we're using the DSPs.
Yes.
But you and I both know, even in the acting industry, it's still the same where actors are complaining like, yes, we're in these international films.
Yes.
But these agencies, they do deals with these international agencies and they want to come out here and pay us in rands. But then when you're in the music industry and you're in these streaming DSPs, the streaming platforms, excuse me, the checks are not the same. Now, you've had the opportunity to work on, some of the biggest projects, and you're currently doing it, and your star just keeps rising internationally. So far, in this beginning of your career, what's the difference that you have experienced as far as the different checks? The little that you've done for a Lil Nas X, would you say, those overseas checks are beautiful, bro? Because I remember the one time there was a rumor, I don't know how true it was, when Mapurisa did something with Drake.
Yeah.
And then apparently for that one song, I think it was One Dance.
Yeah.
Apparently when that check came, I don't know, Mapurisa, don't be mad at me. I don't know how true that is. Apparently when that check came, just the check of one song, apparently Mapurisa bought a home, bought cars, but I was like, and then I was excited.
Okay.
I was like, wow, the boys are going international. The boys are cashing international checks. That should be beautiful, man.
So that kind of check. So specifically, you're talking about what? Publishing and royalties.
Yeah.
So those kind of checks, on that level, yes, sir, absolutely. They're going to change your life. Like, you have that kind of impact on a song, with a song that has that kind of impact, you're going to get a life-changing check out the gates. Now, you have to look at, for me, it's always a matter of leverage, right? And what are you leveraging in the conversation? And then that's what you bargain off of, right? Because every conversation for me is a negotiation out the gates, whether you like it or not. It is a negotiation. So the reality is, in terms of performances, it was good. It was good, but it's not a large enough one to set you up for life, because that's a performance fee.
Yeah.
You understand? So performance fees aren't really the biggest in life. That's not where you're going to establish your life unless you're doing a lot of them, which is where tours come in handy. But yeah, man, that's where I saw the different level of respect for the art form, or what you do as a specific individual in the system that we have, which is, in that case, it was the Lil Nas team, right? So the respect that the American industry has for an individual job, that this is your job, that's your job. You're going to be able to make a living just pressing play. There's guys that do that, playback engineers. Their job is just to do this guy efficiently, and make sure that there's these systems where laptops are rigged together, where if one dies, the other one automatically kicks in the same time. So you never realize as a consumer at a show that, hey, the songs or something fucked out. Obviously, in SA, it's a different conversation, because now you are playing in Nelspruit, and it's tough now. But whatever. The point is, that experience is part of what made me realize how much they care about craft and skill. And that's the difference. I always tell my friends, the difference between the consumer markets here and there is that they're more concerned about, no, not more concerned, but they have more space for skill. So they can be a skill-based industry. See, now it's about how you make us feel. That's why a lot of our fantastic rappers who have bars. Yeah, you come with your bars, but niggas don't care about that, because how did you make me feel in the song? Period. Right? That side, you can have communities purely based on skill, where you have your rap battles, you have all of that. Those are skill sports, bro. That's where it's like, yeah, I need to prove how good I am. But with music, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you made me feel good in this song, no one can tell me shit about you. You know? And I think that's where we win as SA, because we've been built like that, where it's impact based over skill. So I think now a lot of our music is extremely soulful. Even if it's hype, you still feel it, and you don't even understand. A lot of international people will tell me like, "Yo, we don't feel we don't know what you're saying, but we feel it." And that is because of how our culture is based, where a song here blows up because you made me feel good, not because of my skill set. So it's a catch-22, because you want a skill-based society, because you want to get paid for how good you are, and it helps us get better at our craft as well. You get better photographers, you get better musicians, you get better engineers, you get better, components in the system. But ultimately, the fact that it's based off of how you impact somebody emotively is our secret weapon right now.
DJ Cleo.
Yeah.
Dope on the decks.
Yes.
Dope on the mic, killed it.
Yes.
Dope as producer. Dope as entrepreneur.
Shout out DJ
and
Cleo.
dope as goalkeeper. I miss you, Cleo. We haven't hung out in a while, bro.
Yes,
Come sit here, let's chat. And then Kanye West.
Yes, sir.
Dope as amazing songwriter. Dope as producer.
Yeah.
Tells about Jay-Z,
Yes.
about Dame Dash. I'm also a dope ass rapper. We've watched his documentary.
Yeah.
And people just box him to being this amazing producer.
Yeah.
Decides to get on the mic.
Yeah.
Fast forward to 2022, 2023, people are calling him a genius.
Yes.
One of the greatest of all times. Yeah. You dope, production.
Yes.
Now you're getting on the mic.
Yes, sir.
And just that the evolution of the artist.
Yes.
And just the ability to be good in whatever you touch as you keep evolving.
Yes, sir.
I'm interested and I'm looking forward to see you just rise as a person on the mic.
Appreciate that.
And checks don't come from pressing buttons only,
Yes.
or being on the mic only,
Yeah.
or publishing only and shows only. Let's talk about shows now specifically. People don't know that there's things like mechanical royalty.
Yes.
There's performance royalty.
Yes.
There is, there's different avenues in how one makes money. Let's say a very short South African music masterclass 101 as a producer and who's evolving into getting on the mic. What are the different layers? What are the different revenue streams that one can benefit off of as an artist? Now I'm speaking to younger guys out there who want to get into this music thing. Like, is there money in this thing?
Yes and no. So I'll be very frank. Having been behind the scenes for a very long time, um, as a songwriter and producer, there is a lot to be said about the part where your song doesn't pop off, right? As a songwriter and producer, and you've written for somebody. Now, in that space, you don't think about that as a songwriter and creative because you know that you wrote a great song, and that is your only revenue stream, is being a songwriter. That's the reality a lot of the people that get into the work behind the scenes don't think about, right? And unfortunately, that's a reality you have to deal with. There's a lot of stories about American songwriters who have been going through it. Some of them have only become successful artists now, like Mooney Long, that girl that sang the song "How Did You for Hours, Hours." That hun, she had been a songwriter for the longest time, writing for your biggest names, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, right? The biggest thing you can do for yourself as a creative in this entire process, with their performance royalties, mechanical royalties, publishing, is have the conversation. That's the one thing that most people don't do it because it's not in our culture to be abrasive as blacks. We're not raised to speak up for ourselves like that. You know, it's always like be respectful. Yeah, you don't want to rub people off the wrong way. There's that, the third. But in those scenarios, if you want to make sure that you're able to somehow, some way, make a living out of doing that, you have to have the conversation. You have to bring it up and say, hey, what are we doing here? What are the splits saying here? How are we going about this? What are you paying me outside of my splits, right? Outside of the publishing and the royalties. What am I getting outside of that? Can you afford to pay me my fee? If not, how are we making up for that? We need to have the conversation. We need to talk. We actually need to talk about it. And it's a tough part for us, again, like I said, with black kids. It's just that you were never taught to speak up like that, you know? And it's an important thing as creatives behind the scenes that you need to do that. You need to make sure that all of those things are structured. Have those conversations in the session. Don't get into a session and just you've written the biggest song in the country. Now you're at home. You got nothing to show for it. Nothing. Not a cent. Your name is not nowhere. No paperwork. No one knows you did it, right? And it's not like I've seen a lot of scenarios where it's not like people are thinking about it. Sometimes it's a sin of omission, you know, where it's like, oh damn, we didn't write him down. It's as simple as that. And then once your name is there, because once your name is on the song, bro, there's a royalty set aside for you, and there's publishing, like for example at Summer. Once your name is on something, and the percentage there, you're there. So no one can, unless there's a dispute raised, no one can take that away from you. It's yours, and we don't do that because we don't have the conversations. So that is the most important part about it, is to speak up.
You've just made me emotional, bro, and I'm gonna tell you a story that I've never told anyone before in my career.
Yeah.
It's exactly what happened to me. So I worked with an amazing producer called Ste.
Yeah.
At the time, he used to go by the name Stethoscope.
Okay.
We do this record called, we do a remix of an amazing American artist by the name of Josh Groban.
You.
Josh Groban is still big till today.
Yep.
Wherever he goes, he fills up venues. Amazing musician. If you go to my Instagram right now, DMs, check how many DMs I've been sending that guy over the past couple of years. I doubt a lot of South Africans know who Josh Groban is, but a lot of them do.
The old ones do. Yeah.
But I believe if you tell them about a song called Remember When It Rained, they're going to say it's DJ Sbu's song. But that was not DJ Sbu's song. That was a remix by Stethoscope and DJ Sbu. But that was a remix of an original track by Josh Groban, bro. He wrote and sang that song. That is his musical works.
Yeah.
We do the song. You get into studio, you get excited. That was before social media.
Yeah.
I can imagine if there was social media at that time, I probably would have posted it.
Yeah,
and
you'd be live in studio.
You know, would have went crazy. But at the time, still. Hit up Grootman, Leslie Sidibe, wherever it is. Thank you so much for all the contributions we've had in our careers, representing us legally, helping TS Record do that deal with EMI from the beginning of our careers. Shout outs to Budvus Leo as well. Anyway, legal guys, communicate with Josh Groban's people. Josh Groban's people are not getting back at us, bro. We're finishing the project. The project is done. We're just waiting for those guys. Those guys are getting countless emails from our legal guys this side. Guys don't get back to us, bro. It's now we're used to releasing for the festive season around September. You drop your first single going towards spring, summer, right?
Yes, sir.
And then you know you're gonna come up with another one maybe around October. And if these two don't do as well, you might just stop a third single maybe November, just before December.
Yeah.
But sometimes you might get like, you might drop a single around September, especially if you're a big boy. I was a big boy those days. You can get a hit around September that can drive you to the summer. You have a big summer, then you can maybe probably just drop a second single, going, supporting single, getting into the festive season. But anyway, becomes September, bruh. Track was ready already July. Album was already done by August. September. October. Let's take this thing to radio. Take this thing to radio. Those people have not given us permission. Josh Groban's people overseas. October. November, bruh. December is now here, bruh. The song instantly popped. It blew up immediately, bro. CD era that time.
Yeah.
11th of November, 2006. I'd drop this album. Drop it. No permission from
Nothing.
Josh Groban's people.
Just go.
As soon as we drop the album, bro, on the Friday, Monday, email comes back. Josh Groban's people, we are aware. There was no social media those days. We are aware that you guys have just dropped this thing. We've not given you permission to go ahead with this track. 100% of that publishing, we're going to negotiate you guys. We're going to give you guys some percentage. But now that you did not wait for our response, and we waited for it, bro, for almost 5 months, 6 months. What they do, the Americans, they take 100% of the publishing. Till today, bro, the day I die, South Africa is going to be playing Remember When It Rained, bro. They're going to be making noise everywhere. Till today, myself and Stethoscope and the team, everybody, we got never a single cent from Remember When It Rained publishing. Why am I saying and sharing this information? It's exactly what we're having, because you're also a younger musician. It's an educational moment right now. Have that conversation. Have those agreements. I know sometimes we get excited, we form a gig, we're all inspired, we go to studio, we make music, but there's no agreements. But hey, that's very risky, bro, because you end up making a song as big as Remember When It Rained, and you're DJ Spoo. And my man, those checks that would go to Josh Groban almost forget the checks. The younger generation never knew who Josh Groban was. Josh Groban in South Africa, majority of people know him because of our work. Yeah. Josh Groban will never even reply to a single DM, bro. I got a blue check. I got millions of followers. He can see me, bro. Till today, in 2022, 2023, DM nothing, bro. Wow. Whether you're a DJ Spoo or African star, no, bro.
We don't care.
Who the hell are you? We don't care. You just made us money just sitting down. That's what I learned from exactly what you're saying. Agreements, taking your work seriously, doing the paperwork right, and we did it right, bro. We got legal people to email, we followed up, we did everything right. Till today, the biggest song of my career, bro, till today, not a single cent from that publishing. But you know what I did? Hustler that I am, I'm not going to crawl back and complain in some corner. That's why people have never heard the story. I never cry over spilled milk.
Yes.
What do I do out of the success and the noise that this song is making? And that's exactly what I did. Till today, I'm sitting with all these different things because I took the success that the song brought to me. But I don't complain. But have never been paid, and I've never gone on to media. I've never said any of these things. Hey, Josh Groban, this. I still respect the guy till today. One of my best, one of my amazing favorites when it comes to being a songwriter, being on stage, being a gentleman, being an amazing, full, all-rounded musician, and still relevant to this day. But till today, he's never given me a single response, no phone call, no single email, but I've made him a couple of hundreds of thousands of dollars from South Africa, and I've also introduced him to a new fan base of South Africans who never knew him at the time. So hey, here is a lesson, my young musicians, brothers and sisters, producers, songwriters, all of you guys, exactly what he's saying. Get your paperwork right and have that conversation and represent yourself.
This is work, guys. People
do it right. It's a business,
work.
bro.
This is work. We don't take it seriously. And this has been, again, black culture and SA, we haven't taken our industry serious as an industry. We haven't taken it seriously to say this is work. When I'm going to studio, that's work. When I'm making a song, when I'm turning up, that's work. I'm present. When you go to clubs and you make an appearance, that's PR for the club. That's why they pay you to be there. That's how they'll pay you 15K. That's work. It's all work. And hey, shout out Ricky. We were having this one conversation at Sun Arena. I think it was the YFM event at 2018, 2019. And he's like, the one tough thing about these youngins is that they see the hype, they see the all of this, the glitz and the glam. They don't realize about the work that goes into it behind the scenes, and not just in making music, but now to switch the conversation, media, right? Case in point, you come off stage, you're exhausted, you're done, you just want to go home. Here's MTV, or at the time, or whatever it is, whatever media platform it is, you need to be putting in the work and be saying, okay, they want to interview you right now. You're not trying to be a superstar. You barely have any followers. You take the time out. Doing those PR runs are not easy. They never have been. Take it now to what's relevant now. Social media, TikTok, all those things. That takes time. Doing those things takes time. And the kids who are doing it consistently, you can see it. You can see, like, it doesn't matter how big they get. They'll consistently go back and make a TikTok video, do something, do that. We look at it as it's just entertainment. That is work. That is actually work, because you're taking time out to actually put your creative energy into something. We need to start understanding that this creative industry is an industry. And once we look at it like that, as a culture now, as the black community now, bro, we can take that thing to the top, bro. We take ourselves seriously, we're gone. Once we take ourselves seriously, we're so gone. We are so gone, bro. So gone. There's I don't know how many, there's a lot of stories I could tell you about situations where all that is needed from us as young creators is to say, okay, this is actually a real thing that I'm doing. Because we nyats it because everyone around us nyats is what we're doing, right? We take it lightly, we take it for granted. No, bro. Saspan. And for real. Like, it's not like it's a child's play. It's work. We're putting our bodies, our minds on the line. What you're talking about, where you were working, the story you're telling me about you guys working night after night, then you're going out to the club, then you come back in the morning, you have to prep radio, you have to do all of these things. That's work. Those are hours. Just because you're not wearing a t-shirt or a corporate tie doesn't undermine the work you've put in. That is work. And we need to, as a community, this is from the top to the bottom, music is one of the biggest parts of our community and has contributed to some of the biggest moments in our history as a community. But we don't want to take that seriously. We want to take it lightly, we want to take it for granted. Kids end up killing themselves because they have no reality around them that validates what they're doing. A kid discovers, they're crazy with the camera, right? I had a story this other day. Some youth pastor was asking me, I got these kids in my church and their parents are losing their minds because these kids love to go to events and be photographers. And now we're scared that now we're losing them to Satan or to a life of whatever, of mufirifir, right? And my initial response was, why is the black parent's response no? Not how do we manage this and make this a success? And say, okay, son, you need a red card. You need this. You need to quantify how much you're charging for the hours that you're out. You're at an event. You're not going to be shooting for free. Yeah, maybe you might need to put in a few shows here, and then people will see your pictures and realize that kid's amazing. Now they're willing. Now there's actual value to what you do. Now we need to be making sure we're harnessing that. That doesn't happen in the community, and that's how we lose a lot of talent. We've lost a lot of talent because it hasn't been taken seriously. We need to take it seriously. We have to take this industry seriously. We can't just take all the other industries seriously. Like I keep saying to you, we put our bodies on the line. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten sick from just being tired. Just being tired, where you're just like, bro, I'm in meetings. After a meeting, I must go be creative. I got some horrible news the other day, some family-related stuff, right? Immediately, within the hour, I have to go on Channel O and do an interview for Gen Z. And smile on camera and talk about how I think the industry is growing and all of that. That takes a toll on our bodies as people, sorry. That takes a toll on us. And we need to realize that it, in so much as us doing that work, it's a real thing. That's the bottom line for me. And that's why if we were able to take it seriously, we'd be able to have things like medical aid properly, like things like that where it's a business, we manage things properly, but because we don't, we have found ourselves in this position that we're in right now, where we've seen so many legends, dog, not be treated like the legend they are. This is the last story I'll tell. I had a conversation with one of the bass players for Kaifa Simeng, right? I was doing an event and he pulled me aside. He's like, was giving me props, like, musicians, we appreciate each other. He was shouting me out. And I was like, oh, gee, I hear what you're saying and I appreciate it. But I want to give you your flowers because the only reason why a Zadok from Durban is able to do what he does at this level is because of the ugly conversations you had in closed doors to say, yo, pay me what I'm worth. All those years, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s of you guys fighting against ridicule of your job, that it's not a real thing. Like, I'm leaving home to go pick up a guitar and play. And people not recognizing that skill set. We have to acknowledge that is a real thing, one, and appreciate those that have done that and waved that flag for. That's a huge thing for me, because as much as I'm not a person of we need to look back a lot, but that's the reason why we are here right now as a creative. The reason why I'm able to do what I do at such a high level is because of their sweat and tears. It's impact. It goes back to impact, and none of us have any careers. None of us have anything in this industry without impact. That's how I feel about this thing. Yeah.
And I totally agree, bro. Eshem, and big up for saying that, like giving flowers to the OGs, collaborating with the OGs, speaking to them while they're still alive and appreciating the influence they've had in your life. And also, you also speak about work ethic.
Yeah.
Work ethic, we'll go back to it. You spoke about it, and I'm going to emphasize and say, I totally agree with you, bro. You can make up for whatever talent you've been given with let me say, oh man, sickening work ethic, guys. Sickening work ethic.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean because you got 1 million followers, because you're on TV, because you got a hit song, things are just gonna flow. No, bro.
Beyonce was in the country, global citizen. She went off stage, and Ed Sheeran, there's a song, I don't know if they did a song together, whatever. Straight off stage to studio in Randburg. Immediately off of stage, going to studio, same time. Tina, I don't want to yes like the kids right now, but some of us will feel like, no, I have just done a lot of things, I'm fine, I'm okay. But that level of work ethic doesn't come by chance, bro. That level of work ethic is real. Like straight off of stage into studio, from studio onto a flight out the country, gone for more work. That is serious work ethic, and it's again, this thing that we're doing is real. We need to take it as such. The entire creative industry from top to bottom, we need to take it as such. And I really want to shout out the ones that are doing it at that level and actually like trying to make sure that there's a certain level of validation that they're providing to the industry. There's a lot of young talent that is actually doing it at a real level, and I want to shout them out. It's good, and we will get there at some point. But as a culture and as a community.
One of the hardest working musicians in South Africa, man. I've had a chance to work with him. From back in the day, he's been dope till today, still relevant even now, dishing out hits, evolving with different sounds, putting on other kids, and still killing it internationally now, Maphorisa.
Yes.
I've been seeing Maphorisa as a come up, working in Oskido Studios back in those days. From when I was at my peak, Maphorisa was up and coming. I got a couple of tracks I've done with Maphorisa. Yeah. People didn't know who he was at the time. This is even before Abu Waichokocha. This is even before Abu Uhuru. Work ethic of that brother, bro. Guys, Maphorisa.
Do you realize how long? Chance, that man deserves a lifetime award. Someone do the right thing, Chance. Do the right thing.
Bruh.
Bro, like, so much of the industry stands on his shoulders. So much.
Bruh.
So much of it.
And the humility. Okay, let me not say, man. You know, when I think about music and studios, like I just, I'm just reliving so many memories, bro, and it's so beautiful. And I love that we're unlocking that musical conversation. It's so beautiful to have a conversation with a musician,
There's one thing you mentioned, and I actually appreciate it. There's the culture. Sorry, I'm very far from the mic. The culture of leaving a show and going into studio. That thing will never change. I don't think that'll ever change. I was recently. There's a friend of mine who I worked with, San, piano artist, phenomenal artist. He wrote on Sondela, wrote on PTP, he's written on a lot of hits as a songwriter. That culture, you're telling me about how you leave Tanzania. I don't know if you've heard about Tanzania.
Been to Tanzania.
Brother.
Dropped a hit record in Tanzania with Ali
Not
Kiba.
the country.
Shout out to not the country. Oh, is it a club? What is it? I'm a hot man, not Tanzania.
My brother, you need to go to Tanzania. Let me tell you something.
Okay.
The devil lives there, my brother. Let me tell you, Tanzania.
Is it like Malaysia? For those who know.
Let me tell you. You know, my favorite thing about Tanzania, people are like, you know, what is it? My brother, we are all there for one purpose and one purpose only, to have a good time, right? And it happened at the height of lockdown, level 5, where, you know, clubs close at like, what, 9, 10? And then, Siapi, where we go?
Tanzania.
Exactly.
It will be Tanzania.
I'll tell you afterwards. But yeah, so that from that culture, it's like, yo, you see this nigga. I'm like, oh, bro, hola. Fine, afterwards, I see a studio talk. We go somewhere and we make that culture. Comes from that, you know. And it's a beautiful thing to see, because we're always capturing, and this is the purpose of being a creative, is you're capturing moments, and you're storing it and you sell it somehow. With us, we do it in a song. You guys do it in video. You know, you do it on radio. But you're always capturing a moment. And that's our biggest thing as creatives. Is we're the storytellers. We are the record keepers, ultimately. You know, at some level of our lived experience as humans. So, man, we need to take it seriously, bro. I don't know when we will, but we got to. Man, we got to. And it's gotta start at every level, bro. We gotta take us. We're the shit. As South African creatives and as South Africans, period, we are the shit. We are amazing.
I totally agree with you.
We're amazing.
But you have to understand, till you understand the level of how great you have to leave this country first.
Once you leave, you'll get it.
And you'll get it.
You'll get it, bro. You'll understand that, no, man.
South Africans are blind. I see blind.
Bro, I can't tell you how
I always say, I think here, because the blind song,
yes, we're used to
I was born blind.
Yes, we're used to it.
Hey, you get shocked, man, with the high man. See blind,
brother. You go out there, you watch them try to do our dances. Watch them try to do our dances. Have you seen when Americans try to do our dances over the day in the UK, bro?
My man. From back in the day, they've been doing our dances, man. The kwara, the Beyonces, how long they've been? For decades, bro.
But you know someone in Las that can just smack that kills it. You already know.
Effortlessly, bro.
We all know there's a nigga dog. We all know that there's talent there. It hasn't been honest, and this goes across the board, man.
I totally agree. Not only in music, in everything,
music, bro. Like, I can't tell you how many athletic, potentials that I've seen in my lifetime. In my generation, I had a friend who broke the record for the under-16s, 100 meters. Right now, can't tell you what he's doing. He could be a millionaire. He could have been a millionaire had that been harnessed and said, okay, cool, we're gonna take this, put it on a platform. We have to take ourselves seriously, bro. We have to.
Yeah. And this has been one of my best interviews. You're amazing, bro.
I appreciate it.
And I didn't know what I was getting myself into coming into this interview. You dope. And you're flipping going far, bro. Your mind is amazing. Your energy, your passion, your enthusiasm. Yeah. You're an incredible talent, bro. And it's only the beginning, you know?
I appreciate you, man. Again, I just want to shout you guys out. I make it my thing, but it's just like, I really do appreciate how you've impacted a lot of lives, impacted my life specifically. I don't take that shit for granted. I really don't, because you never know. You never know the impact you'll have on somebody else. So I want to appreciate you and let you know that, look, I might not be the biggest fruit, but your work hasn't been in vain. You've had impact, and there's a reality to it. There's a reality to it, and I know from my personal experience as a creative, where you'll get into moments where you're dealing with shit, and you get into episodes where you're like, hey, I've done all of this, but what was it for? You know. Ultimately, the fruit is us. We will be the fruit. All of this is the fruit. All of these things that you're talking about, we're the fruit of what you've actually, those hours you've put in, the fact that you have made those sacrifices. We don't know the sacrifices you made in the beginning to go to studios or whatever. We'll never know. But I can tell you that I'm grateful for niggas like you and the niggas that have been putting me on as well. Like, yo, man, it's not a mistake, bro. It's not a mistake.
Now you're going to the highest level. At some point, you're going to be, I don't want to use the name superstar, but there's going to be a day where you're going to watch this video as that guy that you're imagining yourself being. Yeah. What would you like to say to that guy? That guy will be watching you. So we're going to say 2030, bro. You're watching this video from this side. You are one of the biggest guys or the biggest guy ever at that time. What would you like to say to that guy over there? You're speaking to yourself.
We always knew, bro. We always knew we'd be on top again. Yeah, that's it. We always knew. It's that knowledge, bro. We always knew. Never forget it. And never forget, actually. Because life is going to keep coming at you. Never forget it. Yeah.
And speak to the young cats, bro.
Hey, man.
What would you like to say to the guys out there? Speak that truth, man.
Yo.
Spit those jewels. Share that knowledge.
Look, I'm not going to try to pretend to be a guru or anything, but the honest reality is that what you have is real. Let no one deny that. I had a conversation with one of my friends, shout out Era Benjamin. He's from that song Running, 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 Running with Beyonce. We spoke about something that you need to know for yourself, that you're amazing and what you're amazing at. Point blank, period. Know that you're dope, and then whatever happens around you is either a confirmation or someone just trying to deny it. That's it. But you already know you're amazing. Point blank, period. And stay amazing, guys. Keep shining. Stay shining, as Ricky would say.
Beautiful, man. Let's plug the latest work, new stuff.
Yes, sir. So I just dropped the second installment in my project series, which is Perspective Red. I've color-coded it. The first one was blue, and then this one is red. It's more hype, more energetic. I'm working on the next one, which is titled Black. I don't know when this podcast is dropping, but it may or may not be out by the time the podcast drops. I'm just wrapping a couple of, features and things like that. Shout out to everybody who's been pushing and supporting the music. It's been incredible. The love I've been getting, even from radio, that's crazy, but I didn't expect that. That was wild. But yeah, man, shout out to everybody showing love. None of us deserve to be here, but I appreciate it and I'm grateful for the opportunity. And yeah, we're going to rock till the wheels fall off.
Hey, man, on behalf of all the OGs, Tinama Khurtman, we're watching you guys. You guys make us proud, bro. You guys make it worthwhile that we did what we did. Yeah. And it's just so nice that we are blessed to be those Khurtmans that are living in the social media era. Yeah. So we're watching you guys from home. We're watching you guys on our phones. The other one is in Germany. The other one is in New York. Yeah. The other one just dropped this and that in Hollywood. The other one is winning awards there. Yeah. We're watching you guys, and you guys are just doing us so proud. And it was never in vain, and I'm saying it on behalf of all, even my Grootmans, the Arthurs of this world, them Doos, and even the Grootmans, the late great Abo Brahuma Sigela, that's where it comes from, this seed, and it came all the way down to us, and it's going all the way to you guys. Now you guys are going to pass it on, and we just want you guys to know that we're watching you guys. It doesn't mean that even though we don't coexist in similar spaces every weekend, we're not watching. We are watching, and that's why you're sitting here. So for that, I just want to congratulate you, and I just want to thank you for giving me your time, and all of the best. Yeah. We'll meet at the top soon.
I really need to shout out the boys. These kids have been working.
Go right ahead, bro.
Shout out Sticks, shout out Zoe, shout out Reed. Like, these kids are like 17, 18, 19, 20. Some of the best producers I've met, bro. They're crazy. Nacho, shout out. Yams even. Shout out Yams, Zoe. Zoe just, my producer just featured Zoe on something as well. It's crazy, guys. Shout out to you boys. The cousins, most importantly. Shout out to everybody. We out here south side where the horses rap, baby.
Thank you, son. Guys, remember the name, Zadok. Remember the name, Zadok. Remember the name? Zadok. Young people are doing great things out there with their lives. The question is, what are you doing with yours? I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you, son.
Boom. Hug a tree or something.
DJ Screw Live presents